Welcome to the HEC-FDA Workshop 3, titled Stage Damage Relationships and Uncertainty Analysis. I am Julia Slaughter, and I'll be providing this introduction video for the third HEC-FDA workshop. By now, you've had experience creating an HEC-FDA study from scratch through the point of importing HEC-RAS-generated water surface profiles. And you've also had experience using these water surface profiles to generate the exceedance probability and stage discharge functions in HEC-FDA. But what will you accomplish in Workshop 3? Let's find out. There are two parts to Workshop 3. In the first part of this workshop, you will develop estimates of uncertainty in the value of the residential structures. In the second part, you will create a structure inventory and apply the uncertainty from the first part into it, and generate a stage damage curve with confidence bounds for each reach. There are two goals in this workshop. The first goal of this workshop is to become familiar with methods for quantifying uncertainties in variables that are combined to predict damage with uncertainty. A second goal is to become familiar with entering inventory data necessary in the model. The basic procedures followed here in this workshop are also those described in Chapter 6 of EM, or Engineering Manual 1110-2-1619. After you complete the first part of the workshop and generate estimates in uncertainty in the values of the residential structures, you will move on to HEC-FDA. There you will create damage categories. These damage categories are used to aggregate or combine a large number of structures that have similar characteristics. In Workshop 3, the two damage categories you will be creating are commercial and residential. When you create the damage categories, you need to enter the name, which is a requirement, and a description. You will also need to enter the price index. This price index is used to update the monetary value of structures that are assigned to the created damage category. In HEC-FDA, the second step is to create the structure occupancy type. You need the damage categories created prior to this step, so make sure you follow the steps in order. The structure occupancy type is another way to aggregate structures. In this case, you describe the class of the structure, such as a single-family, no-basement, raised foundation, one-story structure. You can also have, for example, a single-family, no-basement, raised foundation, two-story structure. The data that's entered for a structure occupancy type is applied to all structures assigned to that structure occupancy type. The data that is required for a structure occupancy type is the structure, content, and other depth percent damage functions. It also needs to have a content to structure value ratio and uncertainties. And the uncertainties you need to include are the first floor elevation, the value ratios, and the damage in the depth damage function. Workshop 3 will teach you to enter and define both indirect and direct damage occupancy types. For indirect damage occupancy types, a distribution will be selected, such as a normal distribution, and its parameters will be entered, including the uncertainty variables. Direct damage occupancy types are entered in HEC-FDA at the structure inventory level. For the direct damage occupancy type, the stage dollar damage relationship will be entered, as well as a distribution defining the uncertainty. In HEC-FDA, the structure inventory section allows for the entry of information unique to individual structures. There are two types of attributes in the structure inventory. The first is the required structure attributes that each structure must have. And the second are optional, which you can include if you have them. I feel that it is my duty to remind you that these structure inventory records must be entered by hand or imported. You cannot copy and paste. It will corrupt the HEC-FDA database, and you will have to start over. So don't try it. That's just my recommendation. The stage damage functions, which are entered or computed from the structure inventory, at the index location is representative of the damage of the reach. The uncertainty in the stage damage functions is caused by errors in identifying and classifying structures, the content inventory survey, and the like. I wanted to take a moment to remind you of how HEC-FDA aggregates stage damage functions at the index location. The example provided shows two structures. Both are damaged during the same flood, and we'll just look at the 10-year flood. For structure RM148, the 10-year flood damaged that structure at $15,000. And for structure RM155.2, there was $5,000 in damage. Those damages are added together at the index location, and therefore the index location stage was 121, and therefore the aggregated damage was $20,000. In HEC-FDA, after you enter your damage categories, your structure occupancy types, you enter your structure inventory, you're going to compute the stage damage functions from the economics menu of HEC-FDA. If anyone has any questions about the workshops, Workshop 3, or HEC-FDA or anything, please go ahead and place those questions in the Google Classroom chat box. You can also ask your questions in a synchronous workshop or review session, or add those questions to the HEC-FDA discourse category. Thank you, and I hope you all have a great time completing this workshop.